All right, everyone. This video is made for the executive branch members to try to explain this project in a little bit greater detail. I didn't want to go over each branch and kind of make you sit through each branch. So I figured it'd be easier if I created these videos so you could see exactly what one branch is supposed to do. So this, where I'm reading from, is the Constitution Project Description and Expectations, and this can be found on the pacing schedule. Okay. And what I'd recommend doing is having one person in your group create a copy of this document. And as you click on the link in the pacing schedule, it will inform you that you need to make a copy and just hit make a copy. And I would recommend that either one person in your group works through it and screen shares so each group member can see the answers and kind of give their thoughts and opinions as you go through each question. And or you could share it with all your group members. Okay. And then you could work together on that document. Okay. Just make sure that each person isn't doing their own individual one because then you won't be able to see each other's answers. Okay. So this is kind of what I'd recommend after doing that is going through all these questions and coming up with good answers for them. Okay. And kind of the goal of that is once you get done with these questions, you will then work on getting that information into a paper. Okay, and then transferring that information to the final document where we put the preamble on. Okay, so here's your questions. I'm going to kind of go question by question and try to give you some hints and things like that to help you fill this out. Two things before I start going over the questions. Remember, what is the executive branch's main function? The executive branch's main function is to enforce the rules and laws. So keep that in mind as you work through these questions. The second main point I have is when you're answering these questions, first think about how the American system is set up. So in our national government, how is it set up? Okay, then take that information and apply it to this Constitution. Okay, or make changes. If you don't think some of it's going to work in our school, make some changes. Okay, you have the power to do that. Okay, so the first question, who is going to be in charge of this branch? Okay, again, kind of working through this, think of our national government. Who is in charge of our branch? The president. Okay, do you want it to be someone else? Do you want to change that? That's a good starting point to answer that question. How will this person be determined? Okay, again, think about how the president is elected. Do you want to keep that same system or do you want to change it? Okay, be detailed and precise in your answer. Who will be in your cabinet? What positions will you have on the cabinet? And think about roles that you would want this year due to our unique circumstances. Okay, so the cabinet is going to be the people that are serving underneath the president. Okay, those special advisors that we talked about when we talked about bureaucracy. Okay, so who do you want to be in that position? Okay, for this question, you can think about the American system and you can think about who is actually in the president's cabinet, but it's obviously going to look a little bit different in a school compared to a national government. Okay, but for this one, really, especially think outside the box for who we're going to have. Okay, especially with what's going on with COVID. Okay, next question, how are we going to enforce the rules that the legislative branch creates? And who is going to enforce them within the executive branch? Okay, having rules is great, but if no one's going to enforce them, then students are probably going to break those rules. Okay, so who is going to be the person in the executive branch that is maintaining the discipline and making sure that people are following the rules? Okay, and how is that going to work? Next question, how would this branch provide checks and balances to the other two branches of government? What powers and duties would this branch have? And what role in school discipline does this branch have? Okay, obviously this is enforcing, the executive branch enforces the laws, so it should have a pretty big role and be kind of specific about that. How would you make sure the students and staff voices are heard? So if they have complaints about things that are going on, how would you make sure that they get heard? What contests or competitions would you set up with other schools? Okay, so is there something that you could set up with other schools to work with those other schools. Okay, what we're trying to hit at here is how in America, in our Constitution, the executive branch, the president spends a lot of time dealing with foreign affairs with other countries, okay, peace agreements. If there's human rights violations, working with them to help solve those issues. Okay, so let's pretend that Lane is our own school, Lakeside, Blackhawk, and all those schools. How would you work with those schools to create a good network? Okay, to make sure that we're all working together well. If you were to allow the executive branch to pardon students who have done wrong, what would the process be for that? If you would not allow the pardon power, please explain why you wouldn't. Okay, if you don't know what pardoning means, please look it up. There's something we talked about in the notes. Okay, and the president has that power. So what I'm asking is, are you going to give the president of Lane Middle School that power? Okay, wherever you make a charge. If we are going to make or change or amend the Constitution, what will be the guidelines for doing it be? Make sure this works with what the other two branches would like to do. Okay, so in conclusion, you're going to be reading through these questions, coming up with your answer. Okay, I would recommend the screen sharing idea. I think that's the best way to do it. Have one person in your group record and screen share the answers. Okay, and then once you get all the answers down, you're going to take those answers and put it to the final copy of the Constitution, the document that we shared, that we created the preamble on. Okay, I'm going to share that link with you at the beginning of class each day. Okay, so your answer, your final answer will go there. And then after you have that paper done, you're going to want to start contacting other groups and figure out how they're feeling about certain issues. And you want to make sure that your answers in your paper is in line with the reviews. Okay, it's going to take all four of the groups working together. Otherwise, this project isn't going to work out. Okay, so that's kind of the last thing that you're going to want to do is connect with those groups and look at their work and contact them to see what they're doing. Yeah, and also if you want to join their breakout room and kind of ask them some questions, let me know, and I'll be willing to set that up so you guys can collaborate. Okay, because really this project only works well if the whole class is working together. Okay, so I'm kind of going to challenge you with this. I think we're going to do well on it, but that's kind of the information for the executive branch. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Okay, there's an ask for help button at the bottom of your screen when you're on the Zoom. If you hit that, I will come right over and try to help you. Okay, so I am available and more than willing to help. If you're stuck on a question or something like that, please ask. Okay, I hope this video was helpful and you guys can get started. Work hard.